Oh, hey, this is Ben the Cowboy Realtor, and today we're actually going to talk about the 7 things a buyer should know when purchasing a home about HOAs, and they are not all created equal. So, we're going to talk about that today. Since so many of you guys like the last video I posted about me changing my oil, today we're going to work on my mom's car and do her brakes. So, stick around, you might learn something. And for the record, yes, my hat does say cowboy hat on it. So do not grill me in the comments. Ben's not wearing his hat. Yes, I am. And it's white, so I will probably take it off because I'm working on a car. So stay tuned for that. So for starters, let's talk about what even is an HOA. So an HOA, which is a homeowners association, is a group that manages and maintains a neighborhood or community. They're most common in subdivisions, townhome communities, and condos, especially in areas with shared amenities like parks, pools, or gated entries. So what do they even do? They collect monthly or yearly dues from homeowners. They maintain shared spaces like lawns, playgrounds, or community centers, or they even pay for things like landscaping, snow removal, and sometimes utilities. So what rules can or do they enforce? Some of them can determine what color you can paint your house, parking restrictions like RVs or commercial vehicles in the driveway or on the street. Sometimes they have pet rules, different breeds or size limits or leash rules. And then can also set rules on yard upkeep and fence guidelines. And another one is noise and community conduct standards are some other rules they can enforce. So in short, HOAs exist to keep neighborhoods looking nice, maintain property values, and provide shared services. But they also limit what you can do on your property, so it's kind of a double-edged sword. So that's why we're digging into it. Number one of the 7 things that you should know about an HOA is the monthly or yearly payment. Sometimes even semi-annually. It depends on the HOA. Sometimes the HOA is just a group of people. Sometimes it's one individual. Sometimes it can be a board of Karens. Sometimes it can be one dude that just collects to make sure the gate opens and closes. So there's a lot that goes into all those fees, but let me talk about some of them. So those HOA dues can vary widely depending on if you're in Vancouver, Portland, a higher end community. It can be $50 or it can be $500, which that's a big sway. And you need to know that because that is on top of your monthly payment. So that essentially affects affordability. Seriously? You're making me look bad in front of the camera. Oh my gosh. So like I said before, they can cover things like the parks, or there's like a playground in the middle, or just common grass areas that needs to be mowed, big trees along the sidewalks that need to be trimmed, things like that go into the maintenance and into your fees. You'll also want to ask, and it's actually part of our forms, luckily, is that you're going to want to know if there's any special assessments coming up. Meaning if you are in a big community where they need to replace all the siding or the roofing soon, that comes out of the budget of the HOA, which hopefully they have reserves, which is another thing we'll talk about. But you're going to want to know if there's any upcoming assessments, because those almost always fall on the homeowners to pay for those assessments because they're living in that community. So you're going to want to know that. And that is talked about very... Oh, why can't I turn this? So the next thing you want to learn about are called the CC&Rs, which is covenants, conditions, and restrictions. Think of this as like the rule book for the neighborhood as a whole. So this covers things like the paints on the homes or sheds, you know, for the fencing, the parking, and even holiday decor sometimes can show up on this. Some HOAs require it if you're in like a famous, you know, Christmas neighborhood or something. But those are the rules that the HOA enforces on. So think of the HOA as like the body of people that enforce the rules, which enforce the CC&Rs on the people. So, and you need to know that because if you do something outside of the CC&Rs, that could lead to a violation or a fine or a lien on your property or any other legal headaches that you have between you and other homeowners. Hello? Can't hear you. Righty tighty, lefty loose. Needs to go up. Oh yeah, all day. See how much easier that is? Oh, there it is. Pro tip, do not drop it because it's connected to the brake hose. You want it up. I'm gonna zip tie it, but don't just let that hang there. Big no-no in mechanics school, even though I didn't go. Okay, Mom, let's see how bad your brakes were. Oh, Lord. Okay, this one, not bad. I mean, super thin. That's what you don't want to see. Can you see that? Yeah, there's no pad left. Geez, Mom, what would you do without me? So the third thing, seriously. So the third thing you need to know about HOAs is the amenities and services that they provide. So whether it's a pool or a gym, walking trails, I mean, security systems, landscaping in general, you need to know about them because every HOA is different. So you need to ask, what do my dues actually pay for one? And are you going to use them? You know, if you spend all this money monthly and you're not even going to use the amenities, you might want to reconsider that community as a whole. Out with the old, in with the new. Woo! Hopefully it's the right size. We're good. Gosh, there's just something satisfying about new parts. Woo! Real nice. Nice. So my fourth tip, gosh, look how dirty my hands are. The fourth tip is knowing the reserves and the financial health of that HOA. Strong HOAs have reserves for future repairs, or called the reserve fund. Weak reserves equals surprise assessments later on down the road, potentially when you're the owner. You don't need to be an expert in HOA funding. However, you should glance at their reserve sheet and see how much money they have set aside for future assessments or what have they done in the past recently. They're running the HOA kind of like a business, so they need to have the right management and reserves ready, and you should be aware of that. All right, cutting our zip tie. This bracket goes over. Yes, I know the pad isn't on. Lining it up. Safety squint. Okay. See, that's what I was trying to do earlier. Number 5 is the board and management style that you'll be dealing with the HOA. Is the HOA self-managed or ran by the people that live there, or is it ran by a professional company? Like I said before, some of these boards are a lot of people or just one single person. Some of them can be very uptight and angry, and some are very relaxed and laid back. My advice to you is to talk to some of the neighbors and get a sense for, hey, are there any funky rules that I should know about? Or have you received a fine on anything that you've done or that somebody else has done? That's what I would do if I would be moving in the neighborhood. Plus, I've had a lot of people from my open houses tell me these type of things so that when I do find a buyer for an open house, then I can inform those people, hey, here's what the situation is on the HOA. And yes, this is the first time ever that you are seeing someone hold a brake pad for a microphone. Here's another pro tip for doing brakes. Use the old brake pad that your mom absolutely disintegrated and put that in there because you want to compress the pistons and gently push those pistons in so that it will fit over your new brake pads. Number 6 on our list is insurance coverage. So HOA insurance usually covers common areas, not the interior of your home, but parts of the exterior. Sometimes only the front yard, and then you can do whatever you want in the backyard. It's all different, so you want to double check that. Know where the HOA's coverage stops and where your personal homeowner's insurance begins, because I'm sure that's a rule for a reason for people that have thought they had insurance on one thing. Like, you just don't want to find out on the back end in a situation when you need it. So just look up the coverage and what they do ahead of time during the buyer's due diligence period. That went all my eyes. This is satisfying. Listen to this. Ready? Oh yeah, right there. Did you hear that? Ooh! It's the little things in life. There we go. Nice.
Nice.
All right, moment of truth. Pads are in. Will this caliper flip over perfectly since we pushed those pistons in? Let's find out without smashing my fingers. Oh yeah. Like a glove. Like a glove. This isn't my first rodeo. This also isn't my first brake and rotor replacement. So there's that. All right, number 7 of tips and tricks for HOAs is figure out the dispute resolution and the legal power that they have. HOAs can sometimes place liens on your house if you don't pay your dues or pay the fines that you've incurred. And in some severe cases, they can even foreclose on your house. I've never seen that happen, but apparently it's a thing. They often do have the legal power to enforce those rules in court, since you did agree to those rules when you first moved in. So you're going to want to ask how the HOA handles disputes. Are they pretty fair, or are they heavy-handed? Personally, I would want to find that out well before I moved there or even considered moving there. Always go in a star pattern, by the way. You should know that, because you follow Ben the Cowboy Realtor. Ooh. Oh. Getting too old for this. So remember, before you buy, request these things: the CC&Rs, the HOA budget and reserves, the meeting minutes from the past 12 months, how many times they've got together, and the fee schedule and any other special assessments that have been completed or are scheduled in the future. That way, you're not blindsided before the closing, or worse, after the closing, because then you're the owner and now you're a part of that HOA. Why are you not if you've stuck around this long, thank you. And why are you not subscribed to Ben the Cowboy Realtor? I am not touching my hat right now. Look at this. Ugh. I hope you learned something about some HOAs and some future questions that you might ask when you're purchasing your next home. But if you need a real estate professional, I would love to help you. I'm licensed in both Washington and Oregon. So if you know of anybody that needs a real estate professional and wants to avoid HOAs, we can make that happen too. So thanks so much. We'll see you on the next one.